Hello and welcome to Magrathea Builder Worlds. This is a Burrows and Badgers Burrows Build. Although now I tend to kind of refer to it as a Sewers and Cellars build. This is part 2 of this build. In fact, last time, if you watched it, you'll remember that I built a prototype sewer piece from hardboard and Xps Foam, and a prototype kind of underground roomy piece, just to see if as a concept it will work, which it did. Turns out pretty good. Loads of responses on the last video, thank you very much, and loads of suggestions as well, some of which I'm going to use, certainly not this time round but in the future, because this one is all kind of about underneath a town, so sewers and cellars and catacombs and crypts and that kind of thing. Quite a few of the suggestions were about rural burrows, which I definitely want to do with twisty-turny kind of like tunnels and odd shaped rooms and tree roots and that kind of thing. This video I'm going to try and produce the rest, well not the rest, there'll probably be more to come, but certainly enough scenery, flat sections, sewer sections and different room pieces to fill a 3x3 battlefield. Of course, it goes on the battlefield and it doesn't have to fill it because all the spaces of the rock and everything else to dug through. This is essentially being made for Burrows and Badgers, so we can do our next battle report where Sir Hartley Longshanks and his retinue have got down into the catacombs under Rebel Abbey and are trying to make their way down to the quayside in Luneden town. So we need to fight our way through the sewers and cellars of Luneden. This build would also be absolutely brilliant for pretty much any other game that involved kind of tunnel systems under a town. You know, Victoriana games, different kind of like World War II games, I suppose. Pretty much anything. And it would also be pretty cool for role-playing games. D&D, other kind of fantasy role-playing games where you want to, if you're the kind of players of role play where you get way beyond just a piece of paper and a pencil and you want things laid out on a table in front of you. Although my stuff is made for tabletop gaming where we use tape measures, whereas a lot of role play stuff likes to have grids on. But it'll be dead easy to put a grid on all of this if you wanted to do that kind of thing as well. So I'm going to want to get on with this build. You'll remember that I'm using hardboard and I'm using 10mm XPS foam. There it is, the pink stuff. Link for where I get mine from in the description down below. The first job is to cut out, draw and cut out a whole load of shapes from the hardboard, so I've got enough to be getting on with and making. Then add the XPS foam, then do the dull bit, drawing all the rock work in, then the sealing, and then the painting, and then the adding of the sewage. Job done. So from that point of view, I think it's a kind of time we get on. Please do let me know what you think down below at the end after this. Give us a like and a share and all that kind of stuff. If you haven't watched the first part of this and you want to watch the prototypes being made, go and watch episode 1. Although if you haven't watched the first part of this and you haven't seen the prototypes being made, hey, they get made exactly the way I'm making everything else in this video. So you can go and watch episode 1 and catch up with me having a nice chat about my hobby, or we could just crack on and get on with this one. So thanks for watching in advance. Thanks for all your support in advance, your likes and your comments down below. Thanks for signing up to my Patreon, www.patreon.com/MagratheaBuilderWorlds, and all that kind of thing. If you want to support this channel, that would be really cool. Oh, and before we start, for regular viewers, we better have a quick pup date, hadn't we? Check this out. This is a pup date. This, of course, everybody. Chewy, say hi. Here, of course, it's Chewy now. Look, he's 7 months. And he's big, 7 months, 7 stone. Can't remember how many kilos these. 14 times 7. That's 98 pound. And then this down here, he's because my wife's a bit bonkers, it's a new edition Ahsoka. Everybody, this is Ahsoka, and she is only 9 weeks old, not even that. Here we are. Come here. Say hi to everybody, Ahsoka. So pup dates will continue. There is my big guy, 7, nearly 8 months old. Here is my little girl, who is 8 weeks old. Causing mayhem. Super cute. Another newfie, just from a different breeder, different colour. And they're best mates already. Right then, enough about my doggy life. Let's get on with the build. Let's cut to cutting out the hardboard. Actually, let's skip the cutting process. Let's go straight to the, we've cut out all the hardboard. Here we go. Get ready. Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing, where we're going to jump to that now. Go. Ready? Timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly thing. Go. Necessarily the most exciting evening of my life, cutting out bits of hardboard. But I think we've got enough there to be getting on with. I might cut out a couple of another largish rectangle rooms, but we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sewer sections, a couple of odd shaped rooms down the front, and over here some small joining tunnels, which is probably enough to fill most of that 3 foot by 3 foot board, which is fine. A couple of other extra rooms for a bit of variation, and I can start putting the XPS foam on everything. So that is everything cut out. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rectangles, one of which is the T-junction, plus 6, which is the Y shape. And then, so that's 6 bits of sewer. Add the one I've already got, that's 7. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms. That's 11 pieces. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tunnel sections. So that's 16 pieces may be made in this project in a minute. Plus, actually, this one, which I haven't cut out. This is a sewer rectangle. I'm not making until I've laid out all of these on the table. This is going to become a triangle, I should think, maybe 2. Because if there's one thing that really annoys me about this kind of modular, rivery, tunnely thing is the bit where you don't have it running all the way to the edge of the table. So I've saved this bit because I'm going to cut it up and make it so at least one configuration fits all the way across the table, one way or another. Right, now, I have found in some cases that I obviously didn't use enough glue or spread my glue well enough, and I've got, where are we? I've got board coming away from XPS foam. Can you see that there? So I'm, in some cases, going to get some more glue and stick that in and weigh that down and give that another 24 hours to dry. It's kind of annoying, but it's not going to make a lot of difference. I've got so much of this stuff to texture and then draw stonework into. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, you know, because I've got to scribe all of this stone. It doesn't matter too much if some of these have to dry overnight, and I do these tomorrow night. So that's the first job. Then go through. Thank you so much. The first thing I'm going to do is go through and find out where they're not stuck. The other thing I did, I've got zero idea if you're going to be able to see this, is just on the tip of the board here. There's a mark here and a mark here, and the same at the other end. This shows where the water is running down here. I'm going to be able to draw straight lines on to line those up, and like when I made this one, this section here shouldn't have any glue in. I should be able to cut that and peel that out. And if I do that successfully and it works, fingers crossed, touch hardboard, touch wood of the desk, that kind of thing, I'll end up with a bunch of straight rectangles that are 50mm wide, which should give me enough to use that to cut that down more and make some thinner, smaller tunnels. We'll have to see. So, the other thing is I've slightly chamfered off some of the edges, so I'm going to have to cut these at a bit of an angle, but they're already working quite nicely, so that's quite cool. I'm pleased about that. Yeah, one of these has got the T-junction marked on it. Maybe, I don't know. The ends are marked on. Oh yeah, there we are. Look, there's 2 little red dots there. I bet you can't see them. I bet you can't. You'll have to take my word for it. I used a red Sharpie, which is a bit rubbish. But that's enough. That shows my T-junction that's going to go in there and across there. So let's cut some of these out for the cellars. And then we're going to have to get the tinfoil ball out and start to texture the polystyrene. I said it'd be quite quick though, didn't I? Okay, next stage, working with this stuff. If you've seen my XPS Foam videos before, you know what's coming. If you haven't, like I said, go and watch some of the other ones first, because it'll make a lot more sense. However, actually, if you're watching this one right from the get-go, it doesn't matter if you haven't seen the prototype ones, because we're doing the whole process here anyway. At the moment, the problem is the XPS Foam is beautifully smooth. No texture at all. It'll be hideous to paint, and I want it to look like rough stone. So I'm going to make it look like rough stone. Now, a number of ways you can do this. You can get printed rollers that roll out and they make lovely stone patterns, apart from the fact they'll be regular and repeating themselves. And I like to draw random stonework. It's more fun. But I still need to texture this XPS Foam, and we're going to do that with tin foil. Take your tin foil, about that much. Tear your tin foil like that. Roll your tin foil up into a ball. Take your piece of XPS Foam. Now I'm doing it with the sewer bits. No, I haven't cut out the watery part yet, and that's because this will be a pain to try and texture all by itself. So it's a lot easier with this bit in here, and I want this textured anyway if I'm going to use it for other floors. So take your piece of board with your foam on it. Take your tin foil ball and roll. I've done this before in other videos, so you've probably seen it. Many of you have seen this already. It helps compress the foam. I think it makes it a little bit more solid, in fact. You just get an interesting texture that paintbrushes pick up. Everybody knows how much I love painting the scenery as opposed to making it. My favourite part. Hurrah. Anything that helps speed up the painting process and make it less painful, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing. And this texturing means that dry brushing the scenery is really easy, and it picks up a lot of texture, a lot of dry brushing real well. So you can see just by doing that, I've now got this nice rough indented kind of finish. I'm going to go over here a little bit and on the corners, and up this side I'm going to go over the whole thing, and then that way there, when I draw the stonework in, the rough bits of stone, the slabs or whatever, it'll be cool. I suppose if I wanted this just to be hewn rock, I don't need to do anything else to it. Actually, I don't need to draw in all that stonework, but that stonework looks pretty good. When it boils down to it, an expression I haven't used very much in my videos, but I do tend to think applies to everything in this hobby, is what us old school chaps and chapesses tend to call the rule of cool. If it looks cool, then it's worth doing. So although some of the tunnels underground might just be rough hewn stone, and they wouldn't have brickwork like or stonework like I've got on my some of these things, rule of cool means it looks great. It helps you paint it. So there we go. Look, I've done one. I'm gonna show you the cutting out of the sewer bit. Hopefully that works, and then I don't need to show you the rest because it's going to be exactly the same, and we know that I've got about another dozen different bits of scenery board to do. Let's zoom in. Drum roll, ladies and gentlemen, please. Here we go. Here's that piece of board. Zip. Here is our Stanley knife. Here is my black line that I've drawn on. Cutting down over the hardboard now. One line cut through there. Second line cutting in now. Hopefully there's not too much glue squirted out on the other side of this, so this should just lift out. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. Get my blade under that. Here we go. Obviously there's some glue because it's squidged out, but take a steel rule Doesn't matter if there's a little bit of XPS foam residue left behind, because it's all going to get covered when I make the sewer water. We'll get to later in this video. Here we go. Ta-da! Straight sewer section. Check it out. There you go. Okay, here comes the dull part. Now I have to turn all of this textured XPS foam into stone drawn XPS foam with my trusty Burrow. I'm going to do the I'm going to do the rooms drawn in stonework. I'm going to do the sewer sections with drawn in stonework, but small tunnel sections like this I'm not. I'm going to experiment with this. I might even sand it. I want these to be kind of like cut through the stone, or cut through so they're not laid stone as such, like the floor of a cellar or a catacomb, or the kind of like the built sewers. I want these just to be dug through the rock, so I'm going to leave these blank. Should save me a bit of time. Not much, they're the smallest parts. But hey ho, let's crack on. Going to do this. This is going to be like watching paint dry, where it's going to be like stones being drawn. So don't bother watching this bit. In fact, I'm not going to video this bit. We'll see in a minute when it's all done. It'll look slick. It'll be like one of those tattoo programs when you see a guy who's doing a full back piece and he only takes half an hour of the tattoo program, and you go, well, that can't be so bad. That won't hurt that much. Didn't take very long at all. Not knowing that it took like 24 hours over several days. But, you know, hey ho, here we go. Draw in stones. Get on with it, Tim. Stop messing around. Press play on the DVD and crack on, son. No, that's a flipping great big pile of stones drawn. Now, I've got to find the filler, do all the water in the sewers, or the sludge. Then that has to dry. Then everything gets painted black with Mod Podge and acrylic paint. And then we can paint it all. Yes. Get it done, get it done. Could be doing this bat rep sooner than you think. So, if you didn't see the last episode, I'm doing the sludge in the sewers with multi-purpose filler. And to make it smooth, I'm also going to use a paintbrush. And I'm going to water it down. And maybe even add a bit of Mod Podge to it, I don't know. Whee! There we go. So I had a brush, large one. Doesn't matter if it's wet or dirty, because it's all going to get painted black anyway. But smear it on. Brush on the goop, basically. I've got about 5 pieces to do. I'm hoping I've got enough filler to do it all in one go this evening. Otherwise I'm going to be waiting until tomorrow. So now I've got another tube. It's quite old. Watering down the filler makes it smoother and easier to work with. I don't want to make it too wet. And the filler I'm using is non-shrinking crack stuff, supposed to fill up to 10mm, so it's pretty good. What it should do is hopefully not cause too much of a warping problem on these boards. Not that much left in this tube. This does not bode well for getting all 6 sections done in one piece without having to go back to home base. Bum. Oh well, let's see how far we can go. Then obviously I'll have to leave these overnight for this to go off properly. But I can black undercoat seal all the other bits, the rooms and things. So that's the next job. After I've done sewer gunk, going to be to take the room sections and the tunnel pieces I'm using that aren't sewers, and paint them with my black acrylic and Mod Podge mix to seal all the foam, so I can get on and paint that. Get these bits done this week. That'll be nice. Right, tunnel sections, just rough hewn earth, no stones drawn in. Rooms and cellars and things, rooms drawn in. Sewers on the table over there, trying out with this stuff. So move the process along. Next bit is to seal the XPS foam and undercoat it all at the same time before the uninitiated. I can't believe there's anybody watching this program this video who's uninitiated now, doesn't know what's coming next. What is coming next is matte Mod Podge and Winsor and Newton Galleria acrylic mixed together to make a black Mod Podge, which is going to be painted on heavily onto these tiles to seal the XPS and prime it all at the same time, so I can paint them and get it all done by the end of the week. There's some left in this glass. Here we go. This is how simple it is. Flipping great big brush. Don't stand on ceremony. Don't waste any time. Paint the stuff on. It will go in the cracks and that's fine. Want to get rid of all the pinky surfaces possible. Might have to come back and do the edges later. But essentially, that is all there is to it. One of the cool things about this project is that it ain't rocket science, baby. Anybody should be able to do it without too much bother and get very pleasing results at the end. And the other cool thing about this project is it ain't expensive either. So not only can everybody do it, they can afford to do it too, which is cool. So, one, obviously you're not going to get fingers around there. Do that a bit later. Here we go. Need to put these somewhere to dry. Okay, if we get any growling, there's the dogs in the background. So we are now in the painting stage. Apologies for the light. I'm in the house tonight. The lighting here is terrible, but I'm only dry brushing bits of polystyrene, so it's not too tricky. This is what I'm aiming for. This is where I'm at. So the rooms have just been done with Adeptus Mechanicus Standard Grey, and now they need to be dry brushed with a mix of Standard and a Ministratum Grey, and lighter than that. Got to do the whole stack of canal or sewers yet, and I've decided that to add a bit of colour. And with these little tunnels, I'm not going to do in stone. I might do these in earthy tones because they're kind of like cut through clay to do whatever different, just so the board looks slightly different. And at the odd room here, I'm going to do in, I think, slightly different rock as well. We shall see. Or I might spend some time and pick out the odd stone. I don't know. The key here is to get it done as quick as I can. So, sewers need painting now. Thanks you two, you're really helping me. Yep, there we go. All the help in the world coming from the dogs this evening. Yep. There we go. Yep. Notice Ahsoka, the tiny baby, is the one who's actually making all the stress. She's giving what as good as she gets. I'm making progress. I'm doing all of these. I've done 2 or 3 layers. You can only see in here the light's so crap. 2 or 3 layers of different greys. So I started off with what's that? Mechanicus Standard Grey, and then a mix of Mechanicus Standard Grey and a Ministratum Grey, and then just a Ministratum Grey by itself, and then some Steel Legion Drab because I couldn't find the Sandry Dust, and then on top of that, last of all, Grey Seer. It's kind of like grey, really. You know, it's grey. It's hard to tell which is which, but I don't think I've done that one. Well, it's effective though, and you do get the texture that we rolled in with the tin foil looks really, really cool. It really helps from a painting point of view, being able to pick out those different textures. Looks cool. So this is obviously the Y-shaped bit of sewer. Then all this is going to leave me to do is the actual sewer water itself. As you can see, I'm putting loads of time into be careful what's what. Yeah, I'm going to paint the sewer water. I'll have to wait let the sewer water dry, of course, and then Mod Podge gloss on it, and it'll be done. And that'll be this first lot of floor tiles, dungeon tiles done. So all the sewer sections then painted with Castellan green. They look pretty effective. I'm now going to add the texture paint, Sterling mud, and then the contrast paint that I used last time, which name escapes me. I had to go back and watch some beardy bloke making one of these to see what paint colours he used, because I couldn't remember from last time. So I watched myself painting this, which is good. But just for a bit of colour variation on the table, the little tunnels, the 50mm wide tunnels that I can't imagine have been dug individually, independently through the rock and earth under Luneden. I've done in browns to show they aren't kind of like properly designed, planned and formed stone. Started with the dry bark and some more found brown in there, and then some steel legion drab as well. Pretty basic paint job, but it's going to look really nice on the table. I'm probably going to add some sterling mud to that as well, give it a bit of texture on the top. Right then, that's sewers with sterling. I use Maya actually. Is it called Maya? Sterling Battle Maya, which is thicker than the sterling mud. Looks gloopier poo. It's good. Now I'm going to add. What we got? This is contrast. Yep, well the hell that says Plague Bearer's Flesh. That goes over really nicely. That will fill in and go, and I'll use that up on the sides. Bring the water up where it's flooded in a couple of places, and then when that's done, I'm going to give it all a Mod Podge gloss coating, which will A, seal it and B, make it glossy. That's what I'm going to do. I'll see you in a minute. We'll see what it looks like. Okay, so here now are the canal sections, the sewer sections with the contrast paint on and the Battle Mire stuff, and now I'm going to seal it all with gloss Mod Podge, which seal it, which is good, and will also give it a nice gooey, horrible, glossy finish, so that all the pieces will end up looking super glossy like this. You can see the difference between gloss finish and not gloss finish. The gloss definitely looks better. So that's the next mission. That's the last mission, and then all of this scenery will be complete. We'll be able to put it on the table, see what it looks like. There we go then. This is most of it out on the table. I haven't included in this particular setup the T-junctiony bit, but everything else is on, including the two bits I did last week, or last time. There are a few things I've got to do. One issue here, I found that only having a T-junction this way round is going to limit me into layout, so I'm going to make a T-junction this way round. So, but all I'm going to do, I thought, I'm going to have to make another tile, but all I'm actually going to do is make one of these into a T-junction. I'm going to cut out this bit over here, so I can then have that going running off that way. There are a couple of other things I want to do. I want to make some angle sections so I can fill in the odd bit on the table, because I'm bothered about that kind of stuff. I want to make some more small tunnels. In fact, I want to make some much thinner tunnels, some 30mm tunnels, so the big figures have difficulties getting down them. And I've got a couple of ideas for a couple of other rooms, but for a 3 foot by 3 foot table, this does the trick. I'm going to get some scatter terrain and some figures out and see what it looks like with them on it. Bit of a change up, and here we go again. Right, well that's kind of finished. I'm kind of done. Well, that's not totally true. I'm not done at all. I'm going to add various other bits and pieces. The Sewers and Cellars set that I've produced so far, that's kind of catchy, isn't it? It looks great. I'm really pleased with it on the table. All the sewer pieces look really nice. The rooms, well, the cellars, they're just kind of like large rectangular odd shapes of XPS foam, but it works really, really well for a layout. It's going to make shooting battle reports tricky, mind you, because there's not a great deal of 3D height in the board. Nevertheless, I think it will still lead to some interesting games. We've chatted about it already. The important thing about playing down in the dungeon, down in the sewers and the cellars, is going to be the scenario that gets played. Deadly and dull will be the straightforward battle, so we're going to have specific scenarios we're going to have to write to use down there, but I think they're going to work really, really well. The project isn't really finished though, mind you. I mean, I've got enough to be playing games with, definitely, but I am going to have to make a few extra pieces. I've got a couple of ideas for specific rooms. I want to be able to fit this bridge in places. This is a Limax bridge, but it works real nice. It needs lifting up a little bit on some XPS foam on either side to go over the sewers, and it will look pretty cool on the table. It needs to have a bit more height to it to get figures underneath it, so that will be quite good. That will give me a bit of this 3D height that I want on the board. I've discovered a few things that I'm going to have to definitely do. Having a T shape like this totally restricts the directions that the sewers can flow. I need to have a T shape where the T-junction is cut into the thinner side here, so I'm going to just actually cut one out of one of these straight pieces. I'm not going to make another board section for that. I am going to make a few more angled bits of sewer just so they fit nicely on the table, because that kind of thing really gets my goat when I'm kind of like playing. I've got bits hanging over, or worse than bits hanging over the edge of a table, is where there's a gap between the scenery and the end of the table. Makes no difference really. I mean, it really, really doesn't. It's all about kind of like willing suspension of disbelief. But from a look point of view, it's really kind of important. I am going to make other burrows for this game and other things. But I'm not going to do that now. I've got loads of other projects we're getting on with. But I am going to make some rural burrows. Twisty, turny kind of like corridors, rounder rooms, earthier colours and tones, so they're dug underground, that kind of thing. Tree roots and stuff stuck in. For sewers and cellars, I'm going to make some smaller, thinner tunnels. I need some that are only 30mm wide, so the little creatures can get down the tunnels and the bigger creatures can't necessarily. The possibilities for this are absolutely endless. I've got enough to put on a 3x3 table in multiple different ways and to be getting on with playing games. And the way that everything else is going at the moment, that'll have to do. I'm going to get on with some other projects. So I hope you've enjoyed watching these two videos about building the sewers and cellars of Luneden for Burrows and Badgers. The cool thing is, of course, is the fact that you play any game that involves going underground, and these bits of scenery will work really, really well. There's nothing on them to say they aren't Victorian or Roman or I don't know, some futuristic or kind of like super modern thing, or they'll work for absolutely anything, which is really cool. And not just for tabletop gaming, they'll be absolutely ideal, almost ideal, I believe, for a lot of tabletop role-playing games like Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, that kind of thing. Most people are playing loads of role-playing games. You end up down underneath. The only thing I haven't put on my boards, mainly because it's for games where I want to measure with a steel rule rather than just count, is there's no grid on it to show movement. But of course, if you were going to make your own for dungeoneering games like Dungeons and Dragons, it would be a piece of cake to put grids onto any of these board sections so they all fit together, and you could move figures around and kind of affect movement that way. So if you're going to do that, or if you do that, let me know. See how they go. Share them on my Facebook page, you never know, I might even start my Instagram page at some point. But otherwise, if you've enjoyed this series or this pair of videos on sewers and cellars, you found it useful, you're inspired by it, give us a like and let me know down below in the comments. That'll be really, really cool. I'm going to see if I can remember to leave a link down there for the XPS Foam that I used. If you're interested in that and I forget, leave a comment and I'll put the link in, because life's busy and I forget that kind of thing every now and then. But yeah, otherwise, if you've enjoyed this, look out for the Burrows and Badgers battle report that we're going to do based on this scenery. That won't be too far away in the future, because I want to get on and play. And now I've got a gaming group of people playing on Magrathea Build a World scenery, all playing B&B at the same time. 8 people in the campaign, which is brilliant. There's a good chance that we'll go underground in those games as well, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, what have we got coming up? We've got coming up in the next little while, hopefully, the Burrows and Badgers batch build is making progress, and I've got to get on making something for Silver Bayonet. So if you want to watch any of those, make sure that you click subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you next time on Magrathea Build a World. Thanks for watching. Cheers.